All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. I bet you that a lot of you that are watching this are like, hey, I was just hanging out with this guy because I went live last night. I was live for the main card, as I do generally for the, for the pay-per-views, most of them at least. And that was fun last night. These fights were surprisingly good. I mean, I guess in all honesty, like in hindsight, I should have known they were going to be really, really good fights. When I was saying that the card was light, it was just light on top 10 contenders, and certainly light on top 10 contenders fighting each other. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, the fights were awesome. The main card was bananas. Malarkey won in the first fight of the main card by devastating knockout. Maverick, that girl, she's good, man. She'll be exciting. I mean, I don't think anybody has any chance against Valentina Shevchenko, but it's at least another exciting fighter at 125 pounds, right? And Sean O'Malley, my goodness, we're going to talk more about him in a second, but wow, that was a performance. It's like, I don't even want to step on what I'm going to talk about. We're going to talk about him. Tyron Woodley and Vincent Luque. That's a great fight. That was a great fight. Where can you imagine if Tyron Woodley would? You know what? We're going to talk about that in a second too. And then obviously my boy Francis Ngannou and my boy Eric Nicksick hit the big time. They won the championship, and by the looks of Francis last night, he ain't never going to lose, son. But yeah, I also want to talk about the greatest moment ever. We're actually going to start right there. The I thought was the funniest thing ever. And when I say it out loud, you guys are going to have to agree. But anyway, before I do that, if you like the content, subscribe and ring the bell. Tell your friends, because goddamn, if this is not the best MMA channel on the YouTube, okay? So, if this is your first time to my channel, this is where you come for more commentary than just like, well, he threw straight punches and then, he was throwing looping punches and so the guy hit him down the middle with a straight punch. Oh yeah, he really conserved his energy. You'll get that, but you also get the extra layer of things. And so I'm going to prove it to you right now, because here's the funniest part of the night, okay? Funniest part of the night, maybe my favorite part, aside from my boy Francis Ngannou winning the championship, was when after he won and Joe Rogan goes, man, it looks like the Black Beast is up next. And DC goes, John Jones. And oh my God, man, just Derek Lewis, I'm sorry. Whoa. John Jones wants that fight, Joe. John Jones wants that fight. That hit the glee in his voice. Because first, I can't remember if this was before or after, but they were like, hey, DC, you want that fight? And DC was like, nah, no, I'm good. I don't think I need to be fighting Francis Ngannou. So the ecstasy that he seemed to be in when imagining John Jones having to fight Francis Ngannou was priceless, dude. Priceless. And, he scaled it back a little bit and didn't just directly acknowledge that he wants another man to clean his dirt up. But, I mean, dude, that's, if you're, I don't care who you are. If you're John Jones, you've never lost, really. I mean, you've been DQ'd once. And you're going up to heavyweight, okay? This is his first heavyweight fight, right? This is his very first heavyweight fight. And I don't care that, I don't need to be psychic, and I don't need to have ever gone up a weight class to understand the psychology of that, regardless of what's what, okay? He's never fought at heavyweight. If there are questions there, right? I mean, he's confident that he'll be able to win at heavyweight, especially because DC did so well at heavyweight, and he thinks he owns DC. So he's like, if DC can do it, I can do it for sure. But there are question marks there. He is bulletproof confident at light heavyweight, for sure. But now he's going to heavyweight, and I'm telling you right now, that it is fundamentally impossible that he watched that fight and did not have some kind of apprehension about fighting Francis Ngannou. I'll tell you that right now. He's going to be wishing that he was going to get some kind of heavyweight fight first before he has to fight that monster. I don't need to know anything about anyone to know that that's true. That's how dominant and killer, Francis Ngannou looked. It's not like, the guy just got, guy got a big knockout. He's a big guy, weighs 263 pounds, and he got a big knockout. Nah, it's not just that. There were no chinks in his armor. None chinks in his armor, okay? Like John Jones, he already talked about what he was going to do against Francis Ngannou when he first started talking about the fight. And what did he say? He said he was going to wrestle him, right? He said he was going to wrestle him. Remember that? He said he was going to wrestle him. How about now? How about now? Did Francis look pretty, he looked pretty vulnerable wrestling? He shook Stipe off like he was nothing, dude. He shook him off like he was nothing with great technique. He took his back. He got his back. Took him down. Punched him. I mean, like, Stipe engaged in grappling and lost decisively. So, if you're watching that fight, you see a man who is absolutely massive. The only thing that can give you any pause is, or, give you hope, two things. Number one, you're fighting against his gas tank. That is what Stipe was doing. And if anybody was watching the live last night, so I actually heard the Weasel say that in his breakdown, but for the record, anybody who was watching it live with me can tell you that's exactly what I said when we were watching live. I said he's fighting against his gas tank. After the first round, Francis was very dominant, and I obviously was very much rooting for Francis. And I was like, okay, an untrained eye would feel very comfortable and confident about Francis right now. I do not, because I know what Stipe's doing. And Stipe's fighting against his gas tank, so we can't be feeling confident. We just can't be feeling confident yet, even though that was a really dominant first round. So if you're Jon Jones, you're thinking about that. Can I wear him down so that in the third, fourth, fifth, maybe I could start? Because I'm telling you right now, the Francis Ngannou that's fighting in the first round has no weaknesses. Has no weaknesses. He's too big. He's too strong. He's too fast. He's too technical. He's too good at wrestling, and he's too dangerous. You can't take chances against him. I mean, it's not like he just knocks these guys out. Like the threat is not just losing the fight. The threat is like getting seriously hurt. Did you see? I mean, that knockout, he folded Stipe in half, So the only thing that you can be thinking is maybe I can beat him on the gas tank because that first round Francis is not vulnerable. Here's the other thing. Stipe did knock Francis back. Okay. Francis was rattled. Okay. So it ended up being Stipe's downfall, obviously, because he caught him, and then all of a sudden, look, Stipe was in an understandable position. Okay, if you've ever if you've ever been in there and you get hurt, and you're hurt, there's this feeling that you get that's like you're under pressure. Like you're under pressure and you're getting punched, and it like builds in your chest, and so it's what's the best way to describe it? It's like anxiety. I mean, anxiety is the best way to describe it. It's like it's this anxiousness in you when you start getting hit and hurt, and so if you land one. Right? What's the opposite of cold and calculated, right? Anxious, right? Anxious, which is why if you're hurt and you get that feeling in your chest where you're like, oh my God, this guy's on me. And then you land something and they stumble back, you don't have that calculated method. You're like, you have that anxiety in your chest and you're like, oh my God, I got him hurt. I got to go finish this thing. And you rush it. That's exactly what happened to Stipe. That is exactly what happened. He had the anxiety in his chest that he was getting hurt. He landed a shot, and so he tried to rush in to finish him, and he rushed in without any defense, and he got knocked out viciously. And then Francis landed his signature top to bottom, smash wrist that he landed on Alistair Overeem after he knocked him out too. Just for good measure to make sure that when you wake up, like you're going to need an extra 3 months to recover, like an additional 3 months to recover. But yeah, so if you're Jon Jones and you saw that moment, you saw he got rocked. I mean, he did get, he got rocked enough to where he was dizzy. Okay, like Francis was on he was on shaky legs just for a second. He got clipped clean by Stipe Miocic. He was on shaky legs for a minute. Now you can't, he obviously wasn't in such bad shape that you should go barreling in like Stipe did. But at least Jon Jones knows he can be rattled. Like he can get rocked, right? He's seen someone wobble, leg wobble him when he wasn't tired. Like it doesn't seem like that big of a deal considering the fact that he knocked Stipe unconscious 1 second later. But I'm telling you, psychologically, if you're a fighter, okay, you're looking for vulnerabilities. You're looking for where you can beat a guy, right? And even if you're not super aware of it, you go through your, it's like an algorithm. You just go through all of the things that you're assessing about a guy. How fast is he? How strong is he? How good is his wrestling? How good is his jiu-jitsu? How good is his chin? How good is all those things? And and then you figure out where he's the weakest. And if you've never seen him rocked on his feet when he's not tired, okay? So like when he's tired, it's one thing. But when a guy is fresh, if you've never seen him wobble-legged, then you're not even sure. You're like, this guy's chin might be so granite that he's literally like, I can't knock him out. But if you've seen a guy wobble leg, he can be knocked out. Okay, so at least Jon Jones knows he's up against a human being, right? So yeah, I mean, look, and then Jon Jones says, show me the money, let's do blah, blah, blah. I mean, I know he relinquished the belt, but I assume he's going to get back end on the pay-per-view, of course, like any other champion. And to fight Francis, I mean, geez, I'm going to be honest with you, though. I'm going to say something here. I actually don't think the Jon Jones fight is correct. If I was going to do this, if I was going to be in charge and I could kind of move the puzzle pieces exactly where I wanted them, to make the Jon Jones fight really big, I would have Francis defend one time. You know, I would have Francis defend one time. He'll win by knockout most likely, and then you have him fight Jon Jones. Just because then it's like the established, unbeatable, killer champion versus the guy who just won the belt, regardless of how dominant he is. Everybody knows, but it's different. A defending champion who's defended the belt is different than the one who just won the belt in terms of building hype for the fight. The other thing is, look, like this is a once in a multi-decade opportunity to have your undefeated light heavyweight champion come up and fight a guy like Francis. And if you really want to milk it for all it's worth, like, see if Francis could fight again in a few months, have him fight I don't know, I guess Derek Lewis. That's kind of more dangerous fight than, I mean, it's not that dangerous of a fight. He just can't get caught. But, or the big Russian. But I'm really interested in that fight. They didn't talk about that last night. I am very, very interested to see him fight that absolutely massive Russian guy. You know, that guy's huge, dude. He's huge and he's long. That'll be an interesting fight. I mean, I'm not picking anyone over Francis, for the record. I don't think anybody can beat him. But in terms of hyping that Jon Jones fight, man, I personally believe that it would be better to have him defend one time before that. But it's neither here nor there. All right, so now let's talk about Sean O'Malley, because all I have to say about that is, if you are a striker or you love the striking game and if you know even just a little bit, like if you know just a little bit about like kickboxing or Muay Thai or whatever, or karate, or any stand-up discipline, that guy is literally like watching poetry in motion. He's my favorite striker to watch ever. I'm going to say that after last night. Sean O'Malley is my favorite striker to watch ever. Ever. He's like watching like a tranquil fountain. Like he's he's like water. Like Bruce Lee said, be like water. He is literally like water, except, he's a killer, dude. He is so good. I cannot wait to see him fight like bigger opponents. I understand why they gave him Almeida, get him back in the win column, but that is that's going to be a confidence builder right there. I will say, I get really nervous every time he gets kicked in the leg. I just do, because he's got durability problems in his legs, it seems like, so it's nerve wracking. But aside from that, that was like a flawless victory. I mean, he is so good. Now the walk-off thing, when I was watching live, oh, by the way, let me just say this real quick. Guess who won all their bets last night? Oh, Jesse on Fire never picks anything right. Oh, yeah? How'd I do last night? Everything right. I literally won every single bet that I made, except for one, which I bet $20 on Francis by decision, just because it was like 20-1 or something. I was like, who knows? Like, I'll just throw $20 because I was already up, because I parlayed O'Malley and Luque. I parlayed O'Malley, Luque, Francis Ngannou. I bet O'Malley by himself by knockout. I bet Luque by himself, and I bet Francis by himself, and I bet Francis by knockout. So what's up, dog? What's up? Oh, who's back in the W column, son? Boop. Any money that I had lost over, between the Burns fight, Connor fight, whatever, any of that, the cold streak I was on, I won it all back last night, plus money. So what's up, son? What's up? But Yeah. And I picked the underdog, who was fighting the greatest heavyweight of all time, who had already beat him handily previously, and every single analyst picked Stipe to win. Not me, motherfuckers. Not me. Because I am reading a different book than everybody else, okay? I'm reading the What's in This Guy's Soul book, okay? Is he going to be afraid? Is he likely to have been resilient, etc.? I bet on Francis because I knew about his story. And so I understand him as a man, and like he takes failure differently than other people. You know what I mean? He's not a guy who takes failure and then thinks about his failure the next time. He sees failure as an obstacle he still needs to get over. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. But yeah, Sean O'Malley is unbelievable. That walk-off, I had bet Sean O'Malley by knockout. And so when that walk-off didn't finish the fight, and then it was, getting late in the third, I was sitting there, I didn't bet such an astronomical amount that I would have really lost my shit. But like, it was enough that, it mattered, like I would have much rather won that bet than lost, and he had it won and then he kind of let it go. But that was, he is so good. I hope they got to give him a really good, they got to give him a top 10 opponent next. I think a top 10 opponent. 135 is a murderer's row, but I don't know. I like it. I feel like they're a little gun shy because they gave him Chito, who's his first ranked opponent, and then he had some fluky loss. I don't think barring a perennial nerve getting banged that he was going to lose to Chito Vera. I don't believe that. I think he would have won. But yeah, I think they'll be careful. They'll pick the person they think he'll beat most likely. And there are a lot of guys who love to stand. A lot of guys who really like to stand at 135. And man, if you're going to be traditional boxing, traditional kickboxing, Muay Thai, Sean O'Malley is a nightmare. A fucking nightmare. And there is no way to mimic what he does sparring. No one does that shit. That's the thing. He has so many strikes, so many creative ways to hit you. Where, if you're... Jose Aldo's a perfect example, like for this type of thing. It's like, if you're in the gym and you're kickboxing and you're sparring with Jose Aldo, like everyone knows Jose Aldo is an absolutely world-class striker, right? But Jose Aldo is a traditionalist, right? He's traditional kickboxing, traditional Muay Thai. He's going to throw, jab, cross, hook, uppercut, body shot, leg kicks, body kicks, head kicks. Like, those are the strikes he's going to throw, okay? Like, and very, very rarely even like a spinning back kick or a side kick. Like those, which are not traditional Muay Thai, more, Taekwondo, but like they might teach us in karate too. I don't know. Anyways, neither here nor there, but it's not in traditional like kickboxing and Muay Thai. And so when you train with a guy like that, if you're training with a guy like that, what you're doing is you're trying to figure out it's timing. You're figuring out their timing so that you can catch them when they're open, and you could, it's like, but you have a certain number of strikes that are coming in. Dude, with Sean O'Malley, if you're sparring with Jose Aldo, that doesn't help you. You'd be better off not sparring. Honestly, you would potentially be better off not sparring than sparring Jose Aldo to prep for Sean O'Malley, because he's going to throw so many things that you're not used to seeing. He's awesome, dude. He's awesome. And I loved how at the beginning of the fight, where he knew that Almeida was going to want to come out and kick his legs, he didn't allow him to do it. It was very much like Aljamain Sterling, when Aljamain Sterling in the first round against Peter Yan was breaking his rhythm intentionally. That's what Sean O'Malley was doing, because he's, again, traditional Muay Thai guys like Almeida or Jose Aldo. They like to get set and then throw a kick, right? Like, you have to get set and then find and then throw a leg kick, right? And I can relate to this, Avi. That's how I feel too. You get set and then whack and throw one. But like, Sean O'Malley was obviously aware of that, which is why he just never let Almeida set up. Like, he just kept him moving, and then he was throwing all these crazy strikes, so Almeida couldn't get to that moment where, you're bouncing, you're moving, and then for a millisecond you set and then you throw. And he just wouldn't allow him to get there. He just kept on throwing crazy shit at him, so he never had the ability to throw leg kicks in the first round. So anyway, I was very impressed with Sean O'Malley. Now I want to talk about Tyron Woodley and Luque, and then we can wrap this thing up. Okay, so Vincent Luque and Tyron Woodley, in my opinion, was the fight of the night. That was awesome, dude. That was awesome. And it really, like, if you didn't see it, Tyron Woodley came out at, like, where everyone's like, does he even want to fight? Tyron, it's like, imagine if you took so like, think of like how street fights look, right? Like, you get on YouTube and you go watch street fights, how people come out and they're like, rah, 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 rah. They just come out and just go crazy, right? Like, they throw everything they have into what in their mind is going to be like a 20 or 30 second exchange, right? They grab each other, they're going 100% full throttle. And that's genuinely or generally how fights in the street go. Now, if you have a guy who's trained, I mean, they do that also because they're going to match their opponent, right? Like, a guy comes in barreling, they slip under, they take their back and they'll, choke them out, or just step back and, knock them out, whatever. But, like, you match your opponent's energy. And in street fights, they go full throttle. And I've always thought about that, where I was like, man, I wonder what that would look like if, like, one of these, like absolutely stone elite guys did that in the octagon. Like, if in the octagon they street fight it, like they just did a street fight, like they came out and they were just like, I'm going full throttle, I'm running at you, we're going reckless abandon, we're going street fight style, I'm going nuts. That's what Tyron Woodley did. Like, seriously, like, he came out and just started bombing on Luque, and he looked good, he looked fast, he looked solid, and he rocked Luque. He could have won that fight, man. It's actually, because of how he approached that fight, it actually makes me really sad that he lost. Now, I was rooting for Luque because I had money on him, and I had my parlays riding on him. So but in hindsight, when I really thought about it, I'm like, damn, that really sucks that Woodley lost, because what it showed, because Woodley had lackadaisically lost 15 straight rounds. He knows what everyone's saying online. They're like, does he even want it anymore? Does this guy even want to fight? And he demonstrated he wants to fight, man. Like, that's what that said to me. Like, he wants to fight. And he looked good, and he rocked Luque. I know Luque wasn't a huge name before last night, but if you think that Tyron losing to Luque is like just go look at Luque's record, okay? Like, he's a killing machine. The guy's won, aside from one I believe split decision loss, he's won like 12 in a row or something. He's a killer, dude. He's a killer. So it's sad because, again, Tyron wants to fight, and he demonstrated that, and he looked great, and he very easily could have won by knockout. Can you imagine if he would have just dirt napped Luque in the second round? Like, he would have got hype again too. This is a fickle sport, man, and it is cruel and unforgiving. But after that, and in the press conference, they're like, what's next for Tyron? Dana's like, what is he, 39? He's lost 4 in a row. I mean, and think about what happens if one of those shots that Woodley landed is 1 millimeter to the left and he knocks out Luque, and then they say, hey, Dana, what do you think about Woodley? And he's like, dude, he's back. He is back. It's like, man, they say football's a game of inches. MMA is a game of motherfucking inches, and your life is in the balance, So, yeah, that's pretty much what I've got. Congratulations to Francis. Congratulations, Eric Nixick, my boy. Congratulations, Sean O'Malley. Congratulations, Luque and Woodley. You are savage. That's what I got. And congratulations to anybody else who won last night. Subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell. Peace.